I love Animal Crossing, and I love time. In the various games in this series, so much effort is made to make the passing of time as obvious as possible. Seasons change, snow falls, mushrooms appear in the golden forests, pink blossoms flow through the air, and fireworks light up the gentle streams. And more than it simply being easy to notice, time is a feature to be savoured and explored by the player. Seasons are central to Animal Crossing's illusion, the illusion of life. People love to discuss about how alive a game world feels. But in most games, you don't have a living timeline where your actions have consequences that spill out over time, even if you aren't playing. When I start playing Breath of the Wild, the game pauses, and when returning to that world, it is the same as when I left it. This makes sense when you're playing a game where you're playing someone else. Link isn't also logging off. But in Animal Crossing, you play an alternate version of yourself. So when I picture my village, even after not playing for a while, I imagine a version of it in flux, where change may have occurred. I still remember my first winter in New Leaf, seeing the brightly decorated trees with their dancing lights and the gentle change in the soundtrack to include bells when it snowed. This four-dimensional depth to the world makes me nostalgic, sure, but it also makes me homesick.
Maybe it makes me homesick because in my real English life, I've begun to notice holes in the year. Holes where time flows away and bends. Holes where there used to be something, a drum beat or heartbeat or slow rhythm. I'm beginning to forget. My dear, Happy New Year. Everyone always shouts Happy New Year. Not to be a bum out or whatever you kids say, but what's so happy about another year passing? Not that I mind. Mum.
Stardew Valley has a rhythm. Wake up, water the crops, feed the animals, speak to the town's residents, give Leia a salad so you can eventually make your house smell of wood shavings. Mine a little, pass out on your front doorstep. But every now and again, this is disturbed by one of Pelican Town's many festivals. Suddenly the beat changes, and we are tuned into a very different rhythm. The slow and steady drum of the seasons. There are 12 festivals in the game as of now, as of recording, but that seems to be an ever-expanding number. Much like in Animal Crossing, these festivals serve to immerse you in Stardew's constructed reality and to be a parallel to our lives. These calendars of festivals and events are called ritual calendars. Ritual calendars. And exist in literally every society on Earth. They are in many ways the building blocks of community.
Their real-life purposes in many cases mirror their game purposes. That is, to break up routine and to fill the time in the year with purpose. A version of Stardew Valley without its seasonal calendar would be boring and empty. It needs to simulate the pattern of the year in order to ground itself. This also gives the game a sense of progress that other games can't always afford. Routinely in play, I was thinking to myself, man, winter again already? Spring feels so long ago. Mechanically, Stardew had made me feel like time had passed in a real, meaningful way. Both Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley are based on a very Western ritual calendar, but in decidedly different ways. Stardew Valley remains fictional. The world of Pelican Town is a mirror to our world, but the big seasonal festivals get subtle changes to secularize them. Christmas becomes the feast of the winter star, where a commercial holiday with the aesthetics of American Christmas time meets the rural pastoral setting. Gifts are given and the community comes together for a feast. It's the aesthetics of the nuclear family American Christmas applied to small collectivist community life. A comforting dream of what seasonal life could look like. In this way, Stardew Valley's ritual calendar feels real while remaining standalone and separated from any one specific culture. Animal Crossing, on the other hand, is explicitly trying to adapt itself to the region it's localized for. The world of Animal Crossing is not a mirror to our world, but instead an extension of it. Religious ties cannot be made by Nintendo, and so we get a bizarre mix of niche and inherently religious festivals getting mentioned, like December the 6th appearing in the European copies of New Leaf as Naughty or Nice Day, St. Nicholas Day in certain Germanic cultures, alongside commercialized variants of the big holidays such as Easter becoming an egg-collecting gimmick Bunny Day. In these examples, the festivals ground the games in a comforting, ahistorical way. If you stand still outside, you can hear it. Winter's footsteps, the sound of falling leaves. Stay warm, sweetie, Mum. Of course, these ahistorical bendings of the truth are a necessity for any game attempting to replicate a ritual calendar, because there is no one authentic ritual calendar in any culture, let alone a broad publishing region.
Ronald Hutton's Stations of the Sun is a collection of various British ritual calendar customs. He guides us through the year, and in order to remain academically accurate, he makes us dart around the country. The traditions of one village differing enormously to their neighbours. My favourite example of this is the first footing New Year's tradition, where the luck of a household is determined by who enters the house first on New Year's Day. In some places, having a woman enter first is bad luck, but in others it's desired. Neither of these traditions are more true or more accurate, although one of them is definitely more sexist. They are part of a larger tapestry, a tapestry no fictional setting could hope to recreate.
Instead of aiming for accuracy, Animal Crossing builds its own, real-life inspired festivals with a pantheon of ambassadors who bring them to the town. These ambassadors can bend reality. Blanca on April Fool's Day literally steals the villagers' faces. The ambassadors embody their festivals in a godlike way. This sounds awfully like a pantheon of minor gods. Has Animal Crossing replaced religion with its own pagan pantheon? And if it has, what does that say about the Western ritual calendar if replacing the Christian god with multiple lesser deities is seamless? And is that a hole?
In our modern world, many rituals have become less important and highly commercialized. This has left a gap in people's calendars. Folk customs that grounded people have been hollowed out by consumerism. Every year I hear people complain that Christmas goods and decorations appear in the shops earlier. There is little space in modern British society for folk calendars that can't be sold to the consumer. So while larger festivals remain popular like Halloween and Christmas, there are many stretches of time where this seasonal rhythm is lost. Especially within larger cities where the natural changes of the year are less apparent.
As Ronald Hutton says, humanity has come to replace the natural world at the centre of the wheel of the calendar.
While this change is definitely positive, it also leaves a gap within people for observing the changing of the seasons in nature and celebrating it. Holes are emerging In our ritual calendar,
Dear, I remember drinking hot cocoa with you and your dad by the fireplace around the holidays. Marshmallows. Mum.
earlier in the video, I said I loved time. One of my favourite love letters to time is The Summer Book by Tove Jansson, the creator of the Mummins. In it, she chronicles the slow meandering passing of time on a Finnish island over the course of one summer or multiple. She never specifies, and this beautifully simple book reads more like an anthology of summer events in chronological order. Much like in Animal Crossing, the sense of time and seasonal change is deeply savoured by Tove.
The first cool of evening arrived, and the dancing midges disappeared. The frogs came out and started singing to each other, while the dragonflies seemed to be dead. She paints vivid images of hot summers and suffocating storms, using incredibly simple descriptions. The fantastical and the unimportant get the same amount of attention. The book is framed from the perspective of a young child and her grandmother, which lets us see the world with experience and the heavy blanket of age from the grandmother, as well as through the lens of someone who is seeing their first big storm or crimson sky. In the writing, everything is fresh, new, and exciting, but at the same time part of a ritual and cyclical life. These two people at vastly different ages complement each other's views of the world so well, because one can find wonder in everything, and the other has learnt to be grateful for it. This book is a love letter to Tove's real summer house on the Finnish Gulf Coast, and also a love letter to age and youth, curiosity and wisdom. Her personal relationship to the subject matter enhances this. We can all relate to the general wisdoms in this book, but because they are wrapped up in a personal memoir, we can view them from the outside looking in, and appreciate the truths the book is speaking about more clearly. Dear, you must promise to walk with me again by the cherry blossoms in bloom. It would be lovely, Mum. During lockdown, Marina Warner dusted off her missal, a book containing the old liturgical calendar, and was able to find meaning within the absence of all routine that lockdown had brought. This meaning hadn't come from any Catholic teaching or religious fervour. Instead, the missal charting out the year day by day gave each day a small amount of structure and sense of time. For millions of people, this similar experience was happening with Animal Crossing New Horizons. It was one of the few places people could find some normalcy in their disrupted lives. This is the benefit that games like Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley provide. They give people who lack structure a reason to look forward, to keep going into the future even when it's murky. Ronald Hutton argues that part of the reason why Halloween was so enthusiastically adopted in England, despite it being a Scottish-American tradition, is because we lost All Saints and All Souls Day after the Reformation. This left a gap in the English calendar where a festival about the dead and spirits naturally fit. There was a hole in our ritual year. Maybe as our communities continue to decay and our festivities become shallow excuses to spend money, we will start finding more holes in the year. And perhaps, at least in the digital, Animal Crossing will cover these holes and give us seasonal change where it's missing in real life. Dear, there were so many fireflies out last night that they looked like 1,000,000 stars. Lovely, Mum.
When I moved out to go to university, one of the first things I did in my new bed, in my new dorm, in my new city, was play Animal Crossing. Maybe it was out of habit, or maybe it was out of wanting to see something familiar. I did my normal chores, spoke to my villagers, and got a coffee from Brewster's. Then I went to my town tree, sat at the bench, and watched a history of my childhood in this digital world scroll in the sky like an end credits. I began to feel a vast, cavernous feeling that I hadn't felt before. Melancholy, nostalgia, but most of all, distance. Distance from the child that had originally been on the train to this town. Distance from the teen that had escaped the crushing loneliness of being queer here. And I just began to cry. The hole in the calendar year began to shrink, if for a short moment flexing against the sense of time I had found in Animal Crossing. Now I visit that town with its mismatched benches and rumbling trains less, only when the outside world feels unwelcoming. And while climate catastrophes, aging, and urban growth will accelerate these cavities in our seasonal wheel, I know we will choose to care and make a patchwork on our calendar.